Hello and welcome back to War Thunder. Ground RB, for me, is made up of two components. The ground battle itself in tanks and the air battle in planes when it comes time for me to spawn a plane. The tank battle aspect is not the primary focus of my gameplay because it's not what I enjoy the most. I do like it, but I much prefer ARB, which is stagnant and unchanged with a little bit of balance, but it still relies a lot on your team climbing and the enemy either not seeing you or the spotting system bugging out and eating a server hamster instead of showing where you are to the enemy. Ground RB, however, has no markers for aircraft, so the spotting is entirely up to me as a pilot. By spotting a plane, I'm voluntarily entering a 1v1 or a 1v however many, where it's down to me spotting the enemy and using the skills I built up in ARB and honing them to the point where I can engage anything and be pretty successful. And also, I'm doing this while spotting ground targets for my team and using rockets and bombs to support my team. If I can win a match using the amount of experience I've racked up in ARB flying fighters and as a consequence abuse close air support, which in all honesty used to be a lot easier to do, but recently has become incredibly hard to do with rocket gas because of the nerfs and velocity changes that have happened recently, but it's a lot easier to do with bomb gas and big rockets. The only kind of in between of this is RBS 82s and 250 to 50 kilo bombs, which are incredibly difficult to get on target and kill with. In that layer, there's a lot of skill, as well as with rocket gas. Big rockets, not so much, and big bombs, not so much, but less than 250 kilo bombs and rockets, that's where the skill lies in. Now, in the background is the M24 playing on a Battle of Hurricane single cap, where I'm intentionally putting myself in a hull down position so I can spot the majority of the enemy team to manufacture spawn points. And I'm really not a good light tank player. I'm terrible, but each spawning gives me roughly 50 spawn points depending on if the target is hit or killed, so I've manufactured myself a good 3 to 400 spawn points. And now enters the second phase of the match. I've decided to take out the 3.0 Corsair with a HFARS because I haven't spaded it yet. It's also much cheaper than the other aircraft I have available. I did spot an enemy aircraft coming in, it's an F6C, but what I don't see a lot anymore is people spawning in and diving down to the deck to hide themselves from the enemy aircraft that was spawned. You know, it's a lot easier to spot a black dot on a blue background than it is a black dot on a green background. But yeah, the F6E has come around after realizing that my friendly attacker is too far away and isn't worth the time. Instead, kills a Yak 2 cab, leaving himself open for me to engage, whilst he re-engages my SP2U. I managed to get a crit on his oil in a second, before he decides to, you know, go into a nice little turn there, and this is where he fucks up. I've got the crit on him, got the crit in his oil, and he's gonna try and outturn a Corsair which is using its flaps, because usually the Corsair is regarded as extremely heavy. And there's the fire. That's 50 cals on you, but there you go. There's the 109. He's coming. I've rolled out of the way, and he's now gonna try and outturn and then outrun me. Now, I read about a special kind of massage in a Cosmopolitan magazine a couple of weeks ago, whilst I was at a doctor's appointment. It involves using 50 caliber machine guns to massage the back of the pilot through his airframe with a little help from fire to increase the soothing effects of a nice massage. It works every time. Flying over the side of the map, I spot a Concept 3 who I consider looping over to engage with a rocket, but I decide that rather than engaging him, it's much better for me to engage the main mass of enemy vehicles and help out my T-34-57 over there. But I completely miss with my H-bar and instead have to start rolling over to avoid a 109 F4 who thinks I'm a juicy target, because obviously the Corsair can't turn at all. So I ditch off all my rockets because I decided, I'm gonna full commit. But instead he goes after a friendly F4 and then, decides a horizontal turn with no modifications and no attempt to evade a Corsair is a good idea to try and outmaneuver me. But obviously that doesn't happen, so I get a wee shot in his oil and he crashes because apparently flying with no oil is too much effort. And this is where spawn point management comes in. The enemy spawned 3 planes, and I've killed each of these planes. These players are now in AA or have left the match entirely. However, I've got enough spawn points to J out and spawn whatever the hell I want. So, that's it for the Corsair, but I can come back in immediately as a P-51 instead. It means I'm not wasting 5 to 7 minutes flying back to the airfield to get back to the battle just for everything to go downhill. And by doing this, I'm saving time, and it means my efficiency is much higher, so I get more performance in a match, or more active performance in a match, which means I earn more SL and RP. Now, the P-51 has 6 HVARs and 2 bombs. In practice, I can get 4 to 5 kills with this. More if I include using the 50 cals on a duck, who I decided to engage so that he wouldn't kill my teammates as quickly or without some kind of intervention from me in an attempt to stop him from killing my teammates. But anyway, he's gone off back to base. Now I begin looking for targets. I spot an M10. I'm not able to get any bombs or rockets on, so instead I drop the bombs right into the back of a Dicker Max, which is another kill for me. And I roll back over to try and get another pass in the M10. Instead, don't go for the M10. Attempt to go for an AMX-13, but totally miss because I fire the rocket slightly too early. So I go back over and think, hey, you know what? I could go back over. But then I decide, you know what? I might just as well take a head on from this AA. There we go. Rockets right in there. Perfect aim. And I go back over thinking, hey, you know what? Might as well go back and attempt to get another shot on. But I mislead my rockets because I'm a little out of practice with HRs. I just overlead it just that much. Because of angle and my altitude, I should have just aimed at the bottom of the reticle. But anyway, I can see a P-47 coming in. He's fully loaded. He's got, I believe, bombs and maybe some HVARs, but it is the French one, so he probably only has bombs. I'm going to bait him low to the ground so he might crash. And there we go. There's a bait right into the ground. That's another aircraft added to my kill list. All that's left to do is mop up the enemy team, to be honest. And this is why I like abusing close air support. For matches where I start thinking I'm not going to have a good time, which is commonly what Hurricane Forest is, but I end up carrying the entire team with very little effort in comparison to how much effort would be required for me to do similar damage in a tank or just an entire lineup of tanks. And for the final kill, the M10 is getting a little present. A little explosive present, perfect. Big thanks to the enemy team for not stopping pushing, and for those last few players on my team who just kept spawning. And for the P-47 for compressing himself into the ground like an absolute retard. Not retard, I can't say that on the internet. Like a complete buffoon. Anyway, yeah, it was a pretty decent match. I got some reward, and I hope you enjoyed. And I will rant more about close air support in the next video. Fly safe. Ciao.